This video covers the exam review for section 8.1. Graph each equation. When we graph equations and/or functions, we look at the type that we have. And because this is an absolute value equation, then we know the graph is going to look like a V. A line on one side going up and a line on the other side going down. We need to find this point right there, that lowest point, and that happens when the stuff in the absolute value is 0, so that happens at 2. And then y would be equal to the absolute value of 2 minus 2, which is 0, minus 4 is negative 4, and so we get 2, negative 4. We think of that as the start of our graph, and then the v goes up from there. Just to confirm this, x equals 3, then we have absolute value of 3 minus 2, which is 1, minus 4, which is negative 3. So we see a 3, negative 3. And then we start to see our line increasing by 1 each time x increases by 1. And on the other side, if I were to plug in 1, then y would be the absolute value of 1 minus 2, which is negative 1, and the absolute value of negative 1 is 1 minus 4, which is negative 3. So we have 1, negative 3. And then the line goes up 1 as we go left 1 in the x direction. And so we connect those dots with a straight edge. And there's the graph of y equals absolute value of x minus 2 minus 4. When we graph the squaring functions, we know those graphs are either up, down, they can go right and left. When they're y equals, they go up and down. When they're x equals, they go right or left. We just have to determine which one it is. When there's a negative in front, the graph is going to open downward. We do the same thing and figure out what's going to make the stuff under the square 0, and that would be 0. So we start off by setting x equal to 0. That's negative 0 squared, or just 0 plus 4 is 4, so that gives us 0, 4. That's thought of as the start of the graph. And then when we plug in x equal to 1, we have the opposite of 1 squared plus 4, which is negative 1 plus 4, which is 3. X equals 2 will be the opposite of 2 squared plus 4. 2 squared is 4, and the opposite of 4 plus 4 is 0. And then x equals 3, we get the opposite of 3 squared, which is negative 9, plus 4, which is negative 5, giving us 3, negative 5. So one thing that's good to keep in mind with the squaring functions is that they go over 1 and down 1, over 2 and down 4, and over 3 and down 9. The squares. So if I go over 1, it was down 1, 2 is down 4, 3 is down 9. So if I go over 4, it's going to go down 16. So if we're sitting up here at a positive 4, down 16 will be negative 12. That's because when we plug in 4, we get the opposite of 4 squared, which is negative 16 plus 4, which is negative 12. Now to get the other side of the graph, it's symmetric. So we just place the same points on the other side. And there's the graph of negative x squared plus 4. When we graph the x equals y squared plus 1, these are parabolas that open right or to the left. If it's a positive in front of the y squared, it's going to open to the right. This time we plug in y values. Y equals 0, because that will make x equal to 0 squared plus 1, which is just 1, 1, 0. If I plug in y equals 1, then x is equal to 1 squared plus 1, which is 2. When I plug in y equals 2, then that's 2 squared is 4 plus 1 is 5. So we've got 1, 0, and 2, 1, and 5, 2. So this is going over 1, up 1 over 1. It's going up 2 over 4. And then when I go to y equals 3, x is 3 squared or 9 plus 1, which is 10. 10. 3. So then that was up 3 and over 9. We have the same thing on the bottom of it. And there's our sideways parabola. And this concludes the video for the 8.1 exam review.